I'm surprised nobody ever finds me for starting early. So it is so fantastic to see this full house today. We have a lot of surprise and delight moments today. I want to start with welcoming our spouses, sweethearts, and significant others to this week's Las Vegas Rotary Club meeting in recognition of Valentine's. Your presence is truly appreciated during a month when love and devotion hold such special meetings. My name is Janice Lenke, and I'm proud to be your 103rd president. Thank you. I'd like to invite Linda Peterson for our invocation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before we pray, I want to acknowledge that in this room, there are many different faiths, different religion, different beliefs, and different ways of understanding God. And yes, different political views too. Some pray to Jesus and some to other expressions of the divine, and some reflect quietly in their own way. But as Rotarians, we are united for good and by one shared hope. The hope for peace and understanding. Peace is not victory. Peace is the ability to live together in harmony. So I invite you right now to bow your heads with me or simply reflect in your own way as we seek peace together. Heavenly Father, we come before you with gratitude for this fellowship, for the privilege of serving others, and for the purpose you place in each of our lives. As long as we have a heartbeat, we know you have a purpose for us, a purpose rooted in compassion, humility, and service. On this Valentine's Day luncheon, remind us that love is more than a feeling, it is a discipline. It is choosing patience when it's easier to be frustrated, choosing kindness when it's easier to be indifferent, choosing understanding when it's easier to judge. Teach us to embody the love that builds bridges, strengthens community, and reflects the best of who we are called to be. In a world often marked with division, guide us to be instruments of peace. Remind us that people look to us as leaders and examples of good citizenship. Teach us to extend grace to others and to ourselves. Ground us in Rotary's moral compass and ethical foundation, the four-way test, so that our choices reflect integrity and our service reflects your peace. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? May these principles guide our decisions, soften our judgments, and strengthen our commitment to building a more peaceful and loving world. Bless our time together today, and bless the work of our hands as we serve our time.
Amen. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
So I wanted to share with many of us who didn't know this gentleman, but we were made aware that a gentleman named Cliff Beagle, he lived in Las Vegas with his wife Claudia for 35 years before moving to Boise. He was our 73rd president, and he was very active in our Las Vegas community. We would like, on behalf of the past presidents, we would like to take a moment of silence in his passing. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to invite Dr. Michael Williams to do our song.
People that were supposed to come up and help me do this. We can't play the music because of copyright laws. We're going to have the words, thanks to Sue. It's called, I want to do this in honor of Valentine's Day. It's called Be My Baby by the Ronettes, came out in 1963. So like, imagine you're singing this to your significant other today or tonight or at any time. So, who's coming up to help me do it? I thought we were going to have church. Sue said, go ahead.
I'm just said no. Anyways, go ahead.
I need you so, and if I have the chance, I'll never let you go. So won't you say you love me? I'll make you so proud of me. We'll make them turn their heads
everywhere we go. So won't you please be my
little baby. Be my darling. Be my baby now.
Whoa, oh, 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 oh.
Make you happy,
Baby, just wait and see. For every kiss you give me, I'll give you 3. Oh, since the day I saw you, I have been waiting for you. You know I will adore you till eternity. So won't you please be my baby?
Stand here.
If you need a rose, there's a few roses left at the door.
Thank you. And then our Sergeant Arms, who will lead us in Pledge of Allegiance, is Larry Cohn.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. I'd like to, we have so many introductions today, but we have several individuals we haven't seen for a few weeks due to travel, and I want to acknowledge these people. Annie, Nuna, it's so good to see you. Shh, please. We got a lot of people in the room. Annie, welcome back. We're glad to see you. Patrick Bollinger, thank you. It's good to see you. I'm sorry that you're having some challenges, but we're so happy to see you. Stephen Kwan, welcome back from your trip to Tokyo, Japan, Korea. What am I missing? So we're so glad to see you. Thanks for sharing the photos. We'll share them with the club next week. We have Elliot Harris back from his recent travels. We have, and Elliot, I'm going to say your name wrong. Is it Fajardo? Welcome back. It's good to see you. And then, oh my gosh, where is Hank? Hank the man. Stand up. Hank, come. Oh, it's such a joy to see you. That was a nice surprise and delight for me today, so it's great to see you. If I miss anyone who has not been here for like 3 or 4 weeks, will you just please stand up and be recognized, because I don't want to leave anybody out. We got a great full house today, so welcome back everybody, and welcome to our guests. Reminder, we're doing a lot of fun things today, so we have the trivia contest. We don't care if you cheat. We don't care what, website each other. So send those in. Give those to Tina, please. We have a basket there. We'll do a raffle for a box of chocolates. And then, thank you. I'm going to go through the thank yous. Setup was Dr. Kathy Mahon, Lynn, you were here, and Bob Warner. Greeters, Kathy Gobero, and I think Susan Ziobra stepped in. Dale is ill, so we wish him to feel better really quick, but thank you so much. Ticket sales, Nikki Judian and her husband joined us, so that was, I love how she puts people to work. So he was smiling, so I think he was good. And then Toby Club, I know you also joined in with ticket sales. Photographer, I wrote down both of you. Sarah, is it you? Sarah Thornton for photographer. Sprite is Victoria Mistretta. AB, Stu Lipoff. And tear down, I have Brandon Blunt and Dr. Michael Williams, is that correct? I'm hoping. Okay. So right now we have a lot of guests to introduce. I don't think we have any international. Do we have visiting Rotarians? Yes, we do. And so happy to see you too. Right behind you, John.
So, President Valley, I was a member here for many years with the Wheelchair Foundation, and now I'm kind of retired, but now I'm the head of the volunteers at the Police Department on patrol, started a Rotary Club in Pleasant Valley. So I'm not retired.
It's good to see you. Do we have any other visiting Rotarians? Yes, we do, right here, Shay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shay Johnson from Summerlin Rotary Club, and nice to be here with you all today.
Good to see you. Okay, that's it for visiting Rotarians. We're gonna go get ready for all these hands. Guest of Rotarians. You'll see two Sergeant of Arms here.
Since I have the microphone, I'd like to welcome Dorita King back for her second lunch.
Okay. Go to past President Karen Wisenhunt right behind you. You can just start working the room.
Good afternoon, Karen Wisenhunt, and I have my sweetheart here today, my husband Tom. Saturday is our 34th anniversary, and he and I like watching John Wayne and eating Cheerios, and I'll be playing soccer on.
Okay, other hands up. Oh, Tom, got it?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I got my beautiful wife with me, Jane. This year will be our 54th anniversary.
She's not my sweetheart, but she is always be my baby. My daughter McKenna is here. She is 20 years old, and she is now a licensed cosmetologist. So if you need any hair and stuff, I will accept the fine. That's fine. But I'm very proud of her, and I'm very glad that she's here today.
Sean, did you write that down for next week? Okay.
Hi, everyone. Once again, we have Alistair Diaz here today. He was our September Medallion recipient. This is his second visit. He's visiting our club, and he, along with, well, I won't say, never mind. He's visiting with us too.
All right, we got. Put your hands up, guys. We got a lot of guests of Rotarians.
Hi everyone, my guest today is Paul Chaffee. Paul Chaffee is with SBN, my equity group, and he is also really good friends of our speaker Sean today, and was the person who introduced me to Sean.
Wonderful. Okay, who's next? We got. All right, guys. Hands up.
Hit me!
Notice I'm looking down this side and avoiding me.
I've got my beautiful bride, Linda, here today. She hates to be recognized, so I'll say it.
Linda. Okay, and right behind you. Great, we have Connie here. I
My
know.
wonderful wife, Connie, here with me, and she was doing the same thing. Don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand.
Hey, it's a special occasion. No chocolate for you guys if you do not participate. We have chocolate.
I don't know if you really count as a guest for the public club or whatever, since he's in over for.
Guest of Rotary.
Yes, guest of Rotary, but I brought Rodney Tucker back. He's the chair.
Welcome back. Okay, we're gonna move over here. Work our.
Same table.
Even though she's already been introduced,
That's okay, do it
I am
again.
happy to be here with Jay Johnson today.
Wonderful. Okay, right here. Okay. Okay, let's keep it moving. We got a lot on the agenda. Hands up if you want to be announced.
Yes, stand up. I have my beautiful bride of 35 years, Sandy Jones. Thanks for coming today.
I have my wife of 57 years, Harriet, here with me. Proud to say that we have yet to get the police involved in marital dispute.
Take it to Sean.
It's about time, jeez.
Hello, Rotarians, good to see you. Today, not fiance Janice.
I didn't say
Here with me
anything.
today, and just wanted to say welcome, buddy.
I don't know what he's talking about, I never said that.
And then he's talking off, so I'll just grab the mic. I'm going to have the join us for the first time.
Thanks for
I brought my husband Terrence, who we've all met before. We have our 28th anniversary this year. My very good friend Lynn Collier, who you've also probably met. Lynn is the editor of the Las Vegas Business Press and Las Vegas Journal's real estate section, and they both came to see me, Sean.
That's wonderful. Anybody else? Did we miss anybody? Okay, wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Larry, do we have any guests of our club?
Well, yes, I'm ready to ring.
Okay.
Other guests of the club.
Okay, we're going to go to the head table. I want to thank Linda Peterson for joining me, Susan Zielfer, past president Jim Cole, and here. And of course, Sean McCoy, our speaker. So thank you for joining me. And I believe, do we have some education? We have our education table right over here. Right behind you, you can give it to Gwen Hall.
A little short today. Amanda Lush couldn't be here because of a lot of illness in her school at McCall. But we have Devlin Young from Gary.
Hello, thank you. Again, Debbie from Gary, and so excited to be here again with all of you. We have sickness going on at Gary, but we say no because we need to stay healthy. So I'm excited to be here and share the day with you. And again, thank you, Rotarians, for everything that you do for our school. It is so much appreciated. And I have my amazing great food strategist, Ms. Salazar, with me today as well.
And from Will Beckley, Shannon was not able to be here today. She at first was going to testify in court, but guess what? She got sick. So there's a lot of that going around, but we have representing Beckley, Heather Knapp.
Hey everybody, I am not as exciting as Shannon is, so I apologize in advance. But she did give me some words she wanted me to spread about. So Nevada Reading Week is coming up. I know Tina has sent out a notice asking for any guest speakers from Rotary that could come. Would be great. March 2nd to the 6th. We can work with your times. And then we also have Career Day coming up on April 2nd, which is a Thursday. So one more time, if anybody would be interested in coming and speaking to our little eaglets, I know Shannon would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. We're going to go into a few announcements. The first thing I wanted to let everyone know, if you were not here, bless you, Harriet. If you weren't here last week, the speaker brought the apples, and we still have a bag of apples. For those who were not here last week, please come up and grab one. Okay, so we have those at the end, so you can come up and see me afterwards. Tony, thank you for securing those. And then I just want to point out another great addition, thanks to Tina Bishop, the wheel. I do want to draw everyone's attention. I please ask that you take a look, Rotary etiquette. There's some very important information in there that we wanted to revisit, so I just ask you to become familiar with that. And then we're going to go right into announcements, so we can hopefully have time for fellowship today. Why don't you give the microphone to past President Karen Wisenhunt behind you.
Well, the weekend is here and we have the Mayor's Cup on Saturday through hopefully Monday if they go to the finals. The boys arrived tonight. We have 22 boys from Germany that are hosted by this club. And so thank you to the host families who stepped up to host the boys. It's a wonderful experience for everybody. If you would like to come and see any of the games, they are playing most of their games at James Regional Sports Park. Their first game is on Saturday at 11 o'clock, and we encourage all of you to come out and cheer on the boys. So thank you to the club for hosting this event, and thank you to the host families.
Thank you. And if you could give the microphone to David Jones.
Thank you, President Janice. For TLC, for Teen Leadership Camp that's coming up in March, we have 1 seat available. So if you have an 8th grader that would like to spend the weekend in California at Big Bear, it is a wonderful experience where we've got 1 seat and 1 seat only, and they're going to, if our club doesn't use it, we're going to give it away to another club. So let's see if we pay for it, we might as well do it. And thanks, let me know if you've got one.
Love the time today. Let's give the microphone to, let's go over to Rosalie Hendrick.
Hi, everyone. So the tour for Switch is full. So we're not accepting any more signups if one has been pulled out of the book, because we have a capacity that we can allow to go, and we are full. So if you are interested, please let Sean know. She'll put you on a backup list in the event anyone withdraws from going, which I doubt. So sorry that you couldn't make it, but I wish you could accommodate more, but they won't allow us. So thank you.
Thank you. And then how about, let's give the microphone to Melanie. Yeah.
So Larry, a couple of weeks ago, made the announcement that Jason Federico has been in the hospital and had surgery and stuff like that. He was our chair for Wine to Water, so we are looking for a new chair. He was back down, doesn't think that he will be able to do it. So if anybody is interested in Wine to Water, either as a chair or a committee member, please get in touch with me and we can get you started on it.
Thank you. And then let's make our way back down here. We have Antoinette and Tina both scheduled for announcements.
Good afternoon, everybody. Last Thursday, we had our new member orientation / 25 of social at my home. We had a fantastic turnout, so thank you for everybody that came. We had about 20 guests in attendance. And thank you to everybody that took the time to speak to our new member. Once again, these things are open to the club, and having the club support is very important. So thank you, everybody.
Me again. I just want to remind everybody to sign up in the Green Book. We have 2 events coming up for Beckley and Hollingsworth. It's our breakfast and snack time with books, where we help facilitate when the kids get a story read to them with their parents and get to take home a book of their own from Spread the Word. February 17th at 7:30 at Beckley, February 24th at Hollingsworth. We could use your help.
Thank you. Did I miss anybody that wanted to make an announcement? Okay, wonderful. Let's take, well, I did want to mention last Saturday we had our End Polio Now for Southern Nevada. We had about 55 people who had signed up, and I will tell you that it really was a lot of fun, and we had some good representation from our club. It was a beautiful day. Larry Cohn taught some people how to play pickleball. There were some serious pickleball players. It really was a lot of fun. So it was nice to mingle and socialize with some of the other Rotary clubs. So what we'll do next, I think we should just take some time for fellowship, and then we're going to come back with some treats for everyone. We've got money, we've got chocolates, we've got a lot of things. So let's have some fellowship.
So we're actually starting this week. We're starting the first
Okay, Stu, what do you want to do first? Do we want to do our Cupid stripes? You want to do that? The randomizer?
Oh, the wheel?
Yeah, you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay, that's next up under. Okay, wait, before that, Elliot and Kathy are going to walk around. So I didn't do roses, but it seems like everybody got a rose today. Thank you, Dr. Michael Williams. But we have, from my favorite company, Jean Marie's, custom, they're a small business, make all their chocolates, elevated. Each of the ladies are getting the customized chocolate heart. And the men, we brought you some suckers. So, Elliot was afraid to say that when he was walking around, so I have no problem saying that. So the ladies get the chocolates, if we have any extra at the end, by all means, but somebody thought suckers were appropriate, I don't know. So enjoy that. And then, so those of you who submitted a photo of you and your pet, you and your significant other, thank you. Oh, this is for that. So one lucky couple, Stu has done the randomizer with the entries, is going to get $150 certificate. Have fun, but $150 gift card to Yasi, I'm saying his name wrong, at JW Marriott, a dining certificate for the Italian restaurant. So, are we ready to see? Okay, go.
Oh, right.
Wait, news update.
News update.
Oh! Hey, Judah. You have to take your husband because he's here to witness it. So you don't have to. I'll get with you. You let me know a date, and I will set it up. You can't do Valentine's night. It's too late. The restaurants are crazy. Okay. Congratulations to you. So next, we have some checks to give out for Super Bowl. Congratulations to our winners. For first quarter, Harriet Lipoff was our winner. She is getting $500. I could have brought it to you. I know we're going to want to get a photo. Sarah's standing by. Yeah, we'll do them all once. You got to stand up here. Here you go. Congratulations. Second quarter was McKenna. I'm like so happy that you won. It's like she has to see you, right? $500, girl. Wait, wrong check. Oh no, you're not Matt Nelson. Here you go. Congratulations. Third quarter was Matt Nelson. I thought this might be a way to get him here, but he's not here, so we'll send him that check. And then fourth quarter, our president-elect Michael Kudemont. And you have to use this when we get together to talk about your year. Congratulations. But yeah, don't show your check. Just like, numbers on it.
Okay.
Like, just turn it off. Give me like this, look. Congratulations.
Partner will go to the Rotary Foundation for this event.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, how are we doing on time? Tina, are we ready to announce the, so everybody who did the trivia, she put it in a basket, mix them up, and she's gonna pull out a winner. I know, the correct ones, the ones that were complete. I heard there was some, I wanna read them later, I heard there was some interesting answers. No, some people were. Okay, so she said we have a clear winner, and that's for this box of chocolates. Uh-oh. Why am I not surprised? Stephen Kwan won, had all the correct answers, and your name was pulled. I'm putting you on the spot. Did you have it up with all the right answers? I can read it. So you had your box of chocolate? Okay. I'm going to read through, thank you, congratulations, the correct answers. During which century did Valentine's Day start to be associated with love and romance? 14th century. What is Cupid the god of? Love. Who are Cupid's parents according to Roman mythology? Venus and Mercury. Cupid is believed to carry arrows that have tips made of which two materials? Gold and lead. What are red roses said to symbolize passion and love? Which Greek goddess is associated with red roses? Aphrodite. What do X and O in a term XOXO mean? Hugs and kisses. According to medieval Europeans, February 14th marked the beginning of mating season for which animals? I don't even want to read what people wrote. The answer was birds. That's why you see birds and doves on Valentine's cards. And who is often credited with creating the first box of Valentine's Day chocolate? Richard Cadbury. I sense that a lot of people didn't get that right. Which ancient culture believed chocolate was a gift from the gods? The Aztecs. What tune did Billboard name as the top love song of all time? Endless Love by Diana Ross and Lionel Richie. In which country did giving chocolate keys become a Valentine's Day tradition to symbolize unlocking the giver's heart? Italy. So thanks for participating. Are we on time? Yeah, we're good. All right, we're going to get to our fabulous speaker. I did want to mention, I forgot to last week, that past President Randy Campanelli was in the membership spotlight with a great photo. So Randy, I didn't recognize you last week for the member spotlight, so thanks for participating in that. And then we're going to do the raffle and get to our speaker. Chance to draw the Joker, which is, should be over $1,000 now. Ticket is 2691462. $2691462. Victoria. The chance to pull a Joker. And while she's making her way up for the Lollipops, 2691428. It's a Joker. Nope. Show me. Three of spades. Look who got the lollipop. Ryan, congratulations. Thank Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to invite past president Jerry Cole to introduce our speaker.
Does the winner get $10?
Oh, sorry. I'm giving out so much stuff. Can I get back to you? You can. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that.
President Janice and fellow Rotarians, I'm super honored to introduce our speaker today. Dr. Sean exemplifies the meaning of a full circle, and I'll explain that in a bit. So, Sean was born and raised in Las Vegas. He's a native, which makes him one of 3 people in this room in this area. He began his career in construction, in glass and glazing. And in 2004, he was working at El Chapo, Grande Avenue, kind of near the Combs Pig Farm, and he noticed the odor from the pig farm. And he thought it was kind of interesting, but he didn't think too much of it at the time, other than it smelled bad. And, so his mom and dad said, construction's fine, but I do want you to go to school. So he applied and was accepted at UNLV. And while he was at UNLV, he wrote a real estate paper that related to discounting real estate prices based on proximity to the Combs Pig Farm. And, so he had some practical experience in that. And he was set to graduate in 2009, which was, as you will recall, during the downturn. And so he decided he was going to go get a PhD. And he got a full ride and an acceptance at Pitt. So he's a proud Pitt Panther as well as a UNLV rebel. And shortly after he was arrived his full ride to get Pitt, the Las Vegas Rotary Club called him. Sean was here 15 years ago, and he accepted one of the Nevada Centennial Medallions that we did out jointly with UNLV to valedictorian. Alistair Barrio, you and he have something in common, so it's a great thing. So he and Dr. Coach's name's Matrix, he addressed Rotary, and when he was talking to our club, Sean channeled his inner Terminator saying, and I paraphrase, that he would be back. And he is back. So he went to Pitt, and he was being introduced to his classmates in a PhD study, and they were kind of going around the room and introducing themselves. So an individual named Connor. He's an Ivy League graduate. He was super long-winded talking about micro and macroeconomics and blah, blah, blah. And Sean was sitting there, and I hope it doesn't get to me, but it did get to him. And so Sean had to explain what he studied at UNLV, and he said, pig farms and real estate. So, fast forward to 2 years, one of his professors actually was listening and said, are you the guy who did the paper on pig farms and real estate? And Sean did, that's me. And he said, I'm working on something that has to do with wildfires in real estate, and I'm wondering if we could adapt your model to a study about wildfires in real estate. And Sean worked with him, and it was a National Science Foundation project, and looking at that interplay. It led to $1.25 million grant, and it also led to Sean developing expertise in it in some niche area of real estate. Going forward a little further, in 2016, he is finishing with his PhD program at Pitt. He landed an offer in DC, and he flew down there for an interview, and it was a bleak winter. Anyone who's lived at East knows just how bleak those winters are. And he was literally chased out of DC by a snowstorm, and he happened to just receive an email with an offer at UNLV, and so he flew out, stayed at the Venetian, had beautiful weather, and met with UNLV, and he said, like any wise person, I'm going to move back to Las Vegas. And so he came back, and he's been teaching real estate at UNLV ever since. And in 2022, the lead Center for Real Estate Director left, and Sean took over the Institute, and when he took over, the Institute was unranked, and it is now in the top 32 in the country with a bonus. Lee trains and places students in commercial real estate. 90% of the professors at Lee are practicing professionals, so this is real-time, real experience that the students are getting. And it is based on industry, not ivory tower academics. And Lee's department has a 100% placement rate for its students. So this is fantastic. With that, Dr. Sean, please.
Thank you all. I pulled this off for a second. And I want to give a big acknowledgement to Associate Director and friend Paul Chaffee. Paul came with me a few months after I took the helm of Lead Institute. I actually met Paul the first day in my first real estate class, the first class I got back from Pennsylvania. I'm like, who is this guy? He's dressed a little better than I am, and I want to know what he's doing. And we formed a friendship. And we really kind of got to learn, and I got to learn a lot more about the commercial real estate market. And finally in 2022, I said, you know what? I know this guy knows what he's talking about, and I know a little bit what's going on here inside UNLV. We're going to be a great team. We teamed up, and then got a level of support that I've never seen. The amount of support we got from industry professionals in real estate here in Southern Nevada, David's an instructor for us in real estate here at UNLV, is something that does not exist. That's not to say it's not bad other places. It's just to say that we are really, really, really good. I'm walking around the room. I see mentors, professional supporters sitting over here. But let me also talk about my talk. And a little survey real quick. Real estate professionals in the room. Let's please raise your hands so I know you're at. Fantastic. Anybody work in an office building? And raise your hand, please, if you either rent a property or live and own a property. And that is, so we all have something in common. And that is real estate. I'm going to give you a look back and look ahead. But let's look way back. Took my kids to a model home, and that was an experience. Trying to self-contain them. They were looking in the fridge. Disappointed, of course. There's nothing in there. Flyers, cake, and some televisions with no working mechanical parts. But think about the experience of walking into a model home in, say, 1963. Out here in Las Vegas. What imagery is coming to mind? A lot of things. For those in the off-road desert market, where we have Terrence, please, my dirt biker friend, you guys will know that there was basically world is your oyster. But think about that experience. Think about what imagery comes to mind, what the houses might look like, how much a house perhaps costs. And I became curious about what that world would look like. And so I went to a visit to UNLV's Special Collections, where so much of our real estate history is archived. Professor Jones, you know a lot about this particular place. And I went to the Farnsworth Collection. We actually have right now about 60 cubic feet of real estate history that has yet to be gone through. Yet to be gone through. I went to the Farnsworth Collection, and one of the first things I got out was this. An original real estate brochure from Francisco Park. This community was a mid-century modern development off of Sahara Parkway. While you might be looking at this, it's a very, very well-known development. Not just because of the developer's Party Phillips, but the way the property was developed, the way the property was built, the way it was built to last. The name for our house, this is one of those time periods where they literally meant what they said. We're talking brick construction, termite proof. This was cool, but what stands out to me is the price, $17,000 to $19,000 for that home. The world has undoubtedly changed. But if you look really, really close, the developers left a lasting imprint that will be there for time to come. Notice the two partners, Party and Phillips, have party streets running east to west, and Phillips Avenue running north to south in that particular area. Our market has changed, but where are we headed? Here are the things that we're all talking about. And I'm going to contextualize them through the lens of real estate. AI concerns. AI is exploding at a supersonic pace. Labor markets are continuing to soften, headcounts falling. Very fluffy way of saying, yes, rates, we're losing some employment, labor markets are not doing as good as we'd like them to. On the other side, we also have some GDP growth concerns as well as some slowing in retail sales growth. But here's a sticky obstacle. The sticky obstacle of this market is inflation. And inflation, in many ways, and perhaps always, is the grand wrinkle in the whole economy equation that we're trying to figure out right now. So let me explain to you exactly why inflation is the wrinkle and how we think through the macroeconomy. So, a couple things here. If we were just thinking about what would the Fed do if we had softening labor markets, some unemployment rising? What the Fed would want to do is drop interest rates to stimulate overall activity. That sort of makes sense. However, when you have sticky inflation, when price levels are lingering around, what the Fed is also mandated to do is tighten rates up to try to get that inflation in check. So what you're seeing happening here are two things that are very difficult to coexist. These two types of forces in the market are at odds. The Fed on one margin wants to drop rates to make sure that we have healthy labor markets, but on the other margin wants to keep them up to keep inflation in check. But here's what this really means, two things. First, in terms of rate cuts, we're not expecting anything significant in 2026. Maybe some very modest rate cuts, maybe 2 throughout 2026, and fairly stable mortgage rates. But this wrinkle is having consequences. And one of the consequences is that housing markets aren't correcting as much as we would normally expect in this kind of market. So let me explain what's going on. When you have higher interest rates, this is sort of obvious, this induces a reduction in demand. If we jack rates up from 3 to 6, I have less purchasing power, it's harder for me to buy a home. On the other hand, what matters perhaps more than the fact of what rate levels are is where they came from. The rapid transition from a very low rate environment to a very high rate environment. And when you have that rapid transition, what can happen and what is happening is so many homeowners feel locked into their homes. People like myself, I'm like, you know what? I've been here for a few years. I might want to go shop around, but I don't want to give up my 3.1% mortgage. And these things are sort of finicky to deal with because what that means is on one margin, demand for housing is being kind of pulled down by high rates, but so is the supply, not just due to reduction in actual supply from high cost of material, high construction costs, high cost of land, but also this mortgage lock-in effect. So all this means is that one of the potential implications is the housing market is really is in a messy place. It's really struggling to rebalance itself, and it's not rebalancing in an even way. And so I would argue that you would expect very unpredictable price responses across neighborhoods, cities, depending on what force hits the most, that reduction in demand or that reduction in supply. Well, that spatial conundrum, all that nasty heterogeneity, unpredictability, what neighborhoods will see price increases, what neighborhoods will see price decreases, it sounds great in theory, but can we test it? And I love this one here, where we have the businessman coming in and telling the professor exactly how to do it. And in many ways, Rodney Dangerfield is absolutely right in the movie, which is why I like the movie. So great theory, but can we test it? And the answer is theoretical. That's right. So let me peel back. How can we tell the story as an economist or a real estate economist of every homeowner? If I were to ask everybody after this talk, rate my talk, A to F, and suppose half of you gave me an A and half of you gave me an F, and I walked into to Jim and said, Jim, hey, I did okay, I got a C. The average pays an F or C. And then the audience is like, well, wait a second, that's not conveying my experience. David couldn't stand my talk, he gave me an F. Paul loved my talk, he gave me an A, and in fact, nobody gave me a C. And this is what economists do all the time. They look at these gigantic average statistics and try to tell you about the experience you're feeling, not the case. So how do we close that gap? And the answer is something obvious, like my kids would say, Dad, just freaking show me. And that's what we do. So we're actually I'm showing you probably the first higher resolution across the entire United States where home prices are going up and where home prices are going down. Blue, home prices are falling. Red, home prices are rising. And what you can now see is conditional on, again, we can have a secondary debate about how do we collect the data. All good debates. But here's what's going on. There is a systematic reshuffling, migration, all of it's there. The whole entire country is sloshing and moving around, trying to figure out where on earth is it going to settle in. This is single-family home prices. What happens if you look at apartments? The answer is something quite similar. What you're seeing here is areas of the country where rents are going down, areas of the country where rents are going up. You do see some commonalities. Check out Southern Nevada. We see overall rent compression and home price compression in the Southern Nevada region. Notice that year-over-year decrease in multifamily rents right here in Las Vegas, about 1.1%. But once again, let's get back to the whole analogy. Suppose half the room gave me an A, half the room gave me an F. My average is a C, but that's not telling the full story. Let's take one deeper dive into Southern Nevada and look at the apartment market. Even though the city as a whole is compressing, the truth is it's not. If I look at zip codes, right now it's off by a factor of one zip code. We're seeing half of our zip codes have rents fall, about half of our zip codes seeing rents increase. On the left picture is the actual distribution of rents. On the right is the increase or decrease. Red is increasing rents, blue is decreasing rents. And so all this to say, the market is in a state of flux. And so for those working in real estate, doing real estate will matter more than ever. There will be opportunities here, but it's not going to be like in 2018 when we were joking in our classes, you could trip on a sidewalk, buy a house, and become a successful real estate investor. Not going to happen anymore. Leave it up to the pros. That education is going to matter more than ever. Fun question. This is not in the textbooks, but it should be. Where does the economy live? It's an interesting question. Like we talk about the economy and GDP and the dynamic stochastic general equilibrium models and all that stuff. But a foundational question is, where is it? The goods and services, all the products that we provide, the cups sitting on your table were trucked in or traded, found themselves in a logistic facility, ultimately making their way to this restaurant so that you could use it. Same thing with all the packages, everything that we have. Where is that economy? It must live somewhere. I put my hand out in the air, there's nothing here. There's nothing tangible. But it's an obvious question. Where does that economy live? Where do all these workers work? And the answer is in buildings. Dan, can I get a laugh out of this? In buildings. So, and by the way, since we're talking about buildings, this is my shameless plug for Leeds Real Estate. Thank you, Jim. Yes, I do research, and I love what I do, but our core mission and core passion is we train, mentor, place students in the commercial real estate industry. Yes, we have a 100% career placement rate. We're ranked 32nd in the nation. We have a matched mentor model. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody participating, whereby every single student in our program is matched with a senior level executive in their field from freshman year through graduation, and our classrooms are ran by executives. Thank you all for making that happen. But why does this matter? Why does this sort of tangent on where the economy lives actually matter so much? And I'll tell you exactly why it matters. UNLV Center for Business and Economic Research is forecasting over the next 10 years population growth in the order of 380,000 people. That's actually, that increase that we're projecting is larger than the current population of the city of Henderson. And population growth is a difficult thing to wrangle. So here's the basic story. Suppose that we dropped 100,000 people at random in Las Vegas. Two things would happen. You'd have 100,000 more people looking for housing, which would put upward pressure on housing prices. But you'd also have 100,000 more people looking for work, which would put downward pressure on wages. And so in the absence of meeting that population growth with housing to support people and jobs to increase the demand for labor and support wages, you can lead to job housing imbalance. So what we're looking for in a sustainable economy, when we want to meet population growth head on, it's sort of obvious. We need housing to house people. We need jobs to provide demand for labor, places for people to work. But back to where that economy lives, all of our jobs live somewhere in some type of commercial property. Okay? That does require land. What is our land story? Many of you have seen this. Going back to 1960 when we were shopping around in off of Sahara Avenue for our forever house, this was how vacant land looked back in that particular time. Here's 1970, here's 1980, here's 1990, here's 2000, here's 2010, here's 2020, and since Paul and I arrived, 2024, maybe we update it one more time. In Southern Nevada, we all know 88% of the county is federally controlled. What is less known is how much of the vacant land stock is federally controlled. The answer is 94%. Here's the thing though. Commercial real estate, the types of buildings we need to attract jobs to help improve wages, those buildings require special types of land. Not just the zoning required, but the actual physical size. The ongoing joke with this talk on the right, there is no notion of high-rise industrial buildings. Commercial property will need, like this very property we're sitting in right now, certain minimum requirements on how big those parcels need to be to build our employment parcels, our employment buildings, to support jobs. So is there another wrinkle in the land story that we're not getting a lot of traction on in our dialogue? And the answer is yes. Here's what it is. A study based here locally from local consultant John Restrepo, RCG Economics, is studying the evolution of not just land supply, but land supply that can support commercial development. And many of us here have heard about what our forecasts are for vacant land requirements. But we've talked a lot less about how do they look once we cut across the dimension, land for residential, land for commercial. The research that we do have right now seems to suggest that the constraints for land available for commercial property may very well kick in sooner than they will for residential. That's predicted to happen because residential has a much more flexibility with respect to where you can build housing. So one of the concerns is job housing imbalance. As we grow and as we need to develop more housing, can we continue to develop the types of commercial property we need to keep those lease rents down, businesses coming in, and job housing balance in check? Do we need land to build? Not really. Depends. Well, it depends how we're thinking about real estate. One option is to think about adaptive reuse opportunities. What buildings can be repurposed and revitalized to support development? This is an example of such a product. And our city hasn't really thought as much about this as other cities. Back in Pennsylvania, 75% of our our real estate stock was at least half a century old. In Southern Nevada, less than 11% of our housing stock has reached a half a century mark. And in fact, on this particular map, everything you see in red is built property that has reached the 50-year mark, the half a century mark. It's not an absolute threshold. It's a general rule of thumb. When we're thinking about aging property, we're typically thinking about how much property do we have that's at least 50 years old that's going to require more and more work, more TLC, perhaps more adaptive reuse to keep the market flourishing, the market going on. But here's the interesting thing. That red area you're looking at, the half a century old buildings, that area doubles 12 years from today. And it's a very simple accounting exercise. You just look at the age of structure and forecast 10 years in advance. So Las Vegas, we can't forget, went from 1960 vacant land everywhere to overnight development and boom. We grew up real quick. And by that logic, we will also age very, very quickly. So thinking about how we get ahead of that is something that I think is worth some merit. Where we stand, some of you have seen this, some of you don't, we'll do a little trivia to end the talk. Where we stand with job housing balance. First one, How much does an average household have to earn to afford a median price home right now in southern Nevada? What do you got, Rosalie? You read my paper. You are absolutely right. Okay, let me try to challenge the audience a little bit more here. Let's do this one. Oh, this is the best one. How much do people earn? 65, 56, any other takers? 40, 47, 100. And here's the interesting thing. Every number you heard is technically wrong and also technically right. And here's why. On average, the average household in Southern Nevada makes $80,000 per year. But here's the difference. What if and that's the headline number you're all reading about. But what if I split the market into two kinds of groups? People who currently have a house and people who don't. Renters versus owners. Current homeowners, people who currently have a home, make on average about $100,000 per year. Current renters are making $56,000 per year. So let me contextualize that number for you. The average renter in Southern Nevada right now needs to raise their income by an amount larger than what they're currently making to be able to get into the affordability threshold for the average property. Okay, startling statistic. Let's think about what you might do. Well, if you weren't able to reach that affordability threshold, the first thing I might think about doing is, well, I might be shopping around for a new job. Let me see what other job I can take, try to increase my income to help get into that affordability threshold. So at Lead Center, we asked, well, that's sort of the next obvious question. What kind of jobs can we go shopping around for? So we went to the BLS and collected data on 627 occupations here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and asked a very simple question. Out of all occupations, what percent of those occupations are paying enough to afford the average or median price home in Southern Nevada? Will I have any more takers on that one? I've already set the stage for tone here. So, 6%. Why this, and that will probably be the right answer for a while. Why this all matters, and why I think real estate matters so much for how we think about the economy equation in general, is that the overall quality of life will be strongly dictated by the relationship between wages and housing costs. At the end of the day, we like to think about cities like New York as being expensive and Las Vegas as being somewhat affordable. But what it really comes down to is how much does it cost to live here versus how much you are making. And so that relationship between income and the cost of housing will dictate how much leftover income we have that we can use for recreation and all of these other things. And resilience matters here too, thinking about our ability to grow, our ability to support new industries, new jobs, and more people. One topic that we've all talked about dating back to when I was a student here in the 2000s, how important it is to diversify our economy. How diverse can an economy of 10,000 people, for example, really be? And so we arrive at this conclusion very quickly that diversification itself is contingent upon a certain population threshold. A town of 2 million can diversify more than a town of 1 million. And so can a town of 3 million. And so we're thinking through the evolution of Las Vegas. We have all that pent-up demand, all that poise for growth moving over the next decade. There will be a lot of extra benefits as well as challenges to realizing that growth. But one of the inherent benefits and opportunities is that if we can support that growth in a meaningful, balanced way that balances all the other needs and interests we need for the community to do well, that expansion will allow us to diversify into new areas and new industries in ways that Las Vegas hasn't been structurally able to do in the past because our town was so small not so long ago. And so in terms of the outlook, yes, I have some bad stats to share with you. But in many ways, I think there's a world of opportunity ahead for Las Vegas, because in many ways we've just really got this thing going, and I'm excited to see how far it can go. Back to our song, which was, what was the name of that song we had?
What was that song? Be My Baby.
Build My Baby. I'm just going to let it rip and own this one. All those that work in the real estate industry, build, baby, build. Thank you all. I'm happy to take a few questions.
So I think that a lot of what you are saying is looking at things from a traditional point of view, traditional housing market. And I personally believe that it's going to take some structural changes in lending practices to be able to move to the new economy. And I personally have a thought about people now in that, you know, the younger generation can no longer afford to buy homes. So this is what you just said. But the problem is a lot of these people no longer have traditional jobs, and they're not seeking traditional jobs like you're talking about. The third practice that's kicking in is people are lonely. These are the three things in my mind that are driving, you know, the way people want to do. They want to be able to afford, they don't want a traditional job, and they're lonely. So these three things are driving the market. So I think these structural changes could lead to things like mobile mortgages, where you continue to move a mortgage around, or you completely restructure the lending practices that will allow the new generation. Because for the time being, my son and people like this are never going to be able to afford anything just by waiting on that traditional sense of moving up, you know, the food chain in the job market.
It's a great comment. They for the really more of a comment than a question, but I think the question itself motivates a lot of interesting discussion, perhaps even motivated by the interest rate lock story, which we're in a world right now where, yes, like myself included, what do I get to do? And the answer is, I'm kind of stuck and locked in. Thinking more creatively on the mortgage side undoubtedly seems like something that would be worth, you know, a bit more dialogue. But think of the comments. Quick.
So my perception is this inverse that's occurred between wages and housing costs, and that the American dream is built on owning a home. In 1960, my father bought his first home. I found the FHA documents for it. It was $3,750. My dad earned $3,700 a year at his job. It was a 1-to-1 ratio. I don't know if that was a mean or a norm or anything else. He wanted to be a high school teacher. It didn't work out because they couldn't pay him enough, so he moved into a different pharmaceutical sales. But the point was, it was a 1-to-1. Now you have someone making $450,000 a year trying to buy a $6 million house. Or that's what they feel they need. But an entry-level house is going to be in this community somewhere in the several $100,000 mark, most likely. And people don't make that much. And if they did, they wouldn't buy a home that cheap because they've got some perception that they need to move to something so much more. And how is that being addressed, if at all?
Yeah. My honest answer to you, I don't have a great one to that one. But hearing you out here are two things. The first thing that comes to mind is an overconsumption of housing. This happened certainly post-COVID. Rates dropped, and one of the first things that we saw was just an overconsumption of housing. People really trying, instead of just saying, hey, I got a drop in rates, I can now reduce my payment and live comfortably. People started incessantly moving up that ladder, buying more and more and more and more and more. The other thing too is, I think you should go back into history books and think about how did loans look in the 60s versus now. Well, were 30-year fully amortizing fixed rate mortgages as prevalent now as they were back, say, pre-SNL or pre-other standards that paved the secondary change in the secondary market that allow? I mean, the risk associated with a 30-year loan is wild to me. Like that alone is wild, and how that can even exist. It only exists because we have a secondary market. But yeah, good question. I've got an answer for it, but I do like the question. We got one from Dan. Is it Dan? Please. Oh. Alistair, we got.
Hey, Sean. Great presentation. I wanted to ask a quick follow-up question to the slide you have now. So I was thinking about diversification and how it impacts that balance between wage and housing prices. is it possible that diversification could inherently threaten or exacerbate that balance even more?
It's possible.
Because, like, for example, right, I live in 89117, which is like Spring Valley, the Summerlin area. We bought our house in 2010 for about $120,000, and today that house is worth $750,000. It's mainly because like we have a bunch of new developments happening around that neighborhood. We have a wall parking down on Summerlin. We have a bunch of new expansions up the street. So I was wondering if the diversification part could potentially threaten that balance, and if so, is there an understanding of how much it can threaten that balance?
It can, and it can. And so the challenge with diversification that is also not getting a lot of thought about is something called input-output linkages between industries. So for example, if you diversify an economy and you do it in a way where you have one industry providing outputs that go into another, and it forms this sort of linked system where industries are different but heavily reliant on each other, the same literature that says diversification can help is also the same literature that can say diversification can put the economy at risk. So yes, you can expose instability if you don't think about how we are exactly doing that. The other side of the diversification point is this idea of tension between specialization. It's actually the opposite of diversification that spurs growth. When we specialize in things that we are good at, that allows us to reach higher growth levels than if we actually mix our bag of goods up and other things. So it's not actually clear that diversification can necessarily be the impetus for growth, but it is clear that under the right conditions, it could be a driver for more resilience. So good point, very long answer to that one, and we can certainly get into the weeds. How are we doing on time?
Great. Well, we got a lot of questions, so we're going to go with David.
Hi, thanks for being here. Very quickly, I heard some in the news that maybe private equity coming into the single-family residence market was an issue as well. Could you describe what's going on in Las Vegas regarding private equity?
Sure. So, a couple things with this. The research of the data, and we did a new piece in Washoe County using artificial intelligence to try to track single-family investors in the housing market. Here's the deal. No one to date has been able to develop a methodology, including ourselves, that can actually distinguish private equity from mom-and-pop investors. And here's exactly why. All we have currently with state-level databases is we have Clark County assessment property records. So the best that we can do is look at buyer names, and if we see, Sean McCoy LLC buy 5 homes in 1 year, we're pretty sure that I am probably not a regular home buyer. But if Sean McCoy Corporation A were to incorporate under, John Doe 1, John Doe 2, John Doe 3, they would never be clear that they're actually a corporate buyer. So this is the problem with the entire investor literature, including our own work, which we're very, very upfront about, is there's no way to currently even measure the extent of private equity in Southern Nevada. So to kind of come full circle, on one margin, we are pretty certain that overall investor activity, broadly defined, yes, people are buying and investing in housing, but if anyone tells you that they have an actual measure of how much private equity is in that mix, no one knows, including us, you can't measure it. The bigger question, though, comes back down to market implications. Because you can't actually measure that well, any study that's trying to tell you, what is the effect of hedge funds buying housing? Well, if we can't measure it well, those studies can't be conveyed or done well themselves. So the answer is, we don't really know, but my gut instinct is, evidence that we have to date seems to suggest that these large corporate entities probably don't own as many properties, I think, as many people think. Investor market is probably pretty big, but those are probably much smaller in share. The other closing point is, what we don't understand is anything that increases demand for housing increases supply. So the fact that we have a new buyer pool could in principle induce new construction. So there's the long and the short, but there's about 10 hours of discussion here. A lot of things that we don't know. And in our recent articles on our website, we actually lay out about 3 pages of text of all the we don't knows on that topic. Thank you.
If I get time, you get before running over, we're going to take one more.
So mine's an easy question. Thank you for coming up real quick. Who's going to fix the BLM? We got a ring around.
Yeah.
Who's talking to the BLM? Because we've got plenty of land, theoretically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan, if I had an answer for you, I think I'd have a hard time keeping my job right now. Sorry, Paul. Team, I have a 1:30 admin meeting, and so I do need to run out, but I want to thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have made a donation to the Just One Project at your age.
Oh my gosh.
Combat hunger, and we have our centennial book.
Oh my goodness.
Our 100-year celebration. We can't thank you enough. All right, guys, bear with me for 2 more minutes. Past President Jim Cole, can you come up here? We're gonna run a few minutes over.
Hello again, thank you for your attention and my indulgences. So at the Christmas party, we had a MVP for Santa Claus who was not present. That person is present today, and so I would like to invite Ginger Anderson to the front. Ginger, thank you. She's our MVP. She left everything that we could, everything that we needed. She had it all set up online in this whole document database, and she turned it over to both myself and Carrie, and we were super grateful and appreciative of all the hard work she put in over the years for Santa Claus. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, real quick. Because I have apples, I have chocolate, and I have more suppers up here, so you have to indulge me for another minute. Okay, to wrap up our meeting, Vegas the Fast Track is this month's theme, and it perfectly reflects both our speakers and the spirit of this club. We move forward with purpose, make meaningful contributions to our city, while honoring the traditions that define us. With that, meeting adjourned, and gentlemen, I'll see you up here for some chocolate.
I love your translator. You like it? That's awesome.
Oh my God.